why can't we make this romantic period that we have when we fall in love, this all about relationship, and we can't seem to make it last? Why is that?
Well, you know, people say that the research is that you can only do it for about 2 months, and that's interesting, isn't it? Why can't people keep it going more?
Yes.
It's because the energy is so intense in the romantic period, as I say. It pushes up anything unlike itself, and when that stuff is coming up, people don't know what to do when their unconscious is coming up. So they start fighting or something instead of breathing it out. What we do is we breathe it out. Therefore, hopefully we can clean it and make the romance last longer. But most people don't clean it, and so it comes up, and then they start fighting, and then the romance is over.
Because 80% we will keep in our subconscious,
Yes,
at least.
definitely.
And that's why it is such a great charge we have. So Sondra, you know that I'm also, besides I have my work in real estate and development, I'm also editor of a life magazine, Outstanding. And we made this lovely interview together. And in this magazine, we were talking about the Divine Mother and having this holy relationship. My readers also for this magazine, they would like to know, how do you know if you should stay in a troubled relationship? When do you know that it's really troubled, and how do you get out of it? Can you tell a little bit about that?
Right, that's a good question, and I asked that a lot, and I found an answer. So one can do a truth process to tell the real truth to oneself. One can say, if I had no fear and I had no guilt and I didn't care what anyone else said, would I stay or would I leave this relationship? And if the answer comes up, I would leave if I had no fear and no guilt and didn't care what anyone said, then the person is really out of integrity for staying, because they're just using the other person and they don't really want to be there, so they're lying to themselves. So that's a simple truth process that one can do. And sometimes it is just time to move on. Other times you can reconceive the whole relationship.
So guilt and fear.
If I had no guilt, if I had no fear, and I didn't care what anyone said, would I stay or would I leave?
In that relationship. Good point. If we move from a relationship in the relationships that we have with ourselves and with our family and our mates, sometimes our soulmates or siblings, we also talked about diseases. What is the real cause of a disease?
Well, first of all, I really like this question because I used to be a nurse. So now I know that all disease starts in the mind. The mind rules the body. Okay, so every disease really starts with a thought. And you can do a truth process to find out what the thought is that's causing your pain or your symptom or your disease. And you should immediately, when you get a symptom, do the truth process, or else it could turn into a disease with a big label. So you say, the negative thought I had that caused this condition was, and then you listen to the answer in your head. You have to let go of the thought, I don't know, because if you say I don't know, then you cannot exit from your subconscious.
And then you have to repeat the question until the answer will come up out of yourself.
Right, and eventually it will come up. So the negative thought I had that caused this disease was, okay, and then you hear that thought, and then you have to change it to heal the disease. Now, sometimes you can even avoid going to a medical doctor if you do this. You can change the thought and get a liberation breathing session, and the symptom will go out.
Because actually a lot of people are confused, but there are actually two big emotions.
Yes, there's either love or fear. Those are the two main emotions.
And all the rest of the emotions come from either from fear or will either come from love.
Right. So, of course, love is the great healer. If fear is what causes a lot of problems and disease. So you have to process your fear and why you are holding on to this condition.
And usually it is with the ego, right?
Right.
The ego, the other day you had a beautiful definition what the ego is. Would you like to share that with us?
The ego ego is really a false self that we made up to replace God. And we started this ego way back when we said, I'm separate from God, God is somewhere else. That's the main thing you need to correct, is your imagined separation from God. And when you correct that, everything improves right away.
How do you clear symptoms out of your body if you don't go to a doctor? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, you find the thoughts, as I said. The next thing you can do is do a liberation breathing session. This is an hour breathing session where you lie down with a guide and you breathe in a circular smooth rhythm in the upper chest. And you literally pump out the negative. And you take in new energy, and the energy is vibrational. You feel vibrations pushing it out. I've had people heal major conditions just with one session. For me, I had pain in my body for 14 years before I got to breath work, and I couldn't get rid of it. And after 3 sessions of breath work, it disappeared forever.
Imagine. A lot of people we do breathe and then we stop the breathing or we fall asleep. How come?
Well, you know, people sometimes come up against something they don't want to look at, so then they go kind of unconscious and they don't want to look at something. But if you keep the breath going for a whole hour, you will see a lot of things from your subconscious, and you have to be willing to face those.
And again, the oxygen, like when you breathe, goes mostly to your head because your brain needs the most oxygen, and your whole body starts to tingle.
This type of connected, smooth breathing with no pause at the top and no pause at the bottom actually makes the cells happy, and it's like blowing up a balloon, and the thoughts go out of the cells. The negative thoughts make the cells kind of shrink, and when you breathe like this, it's like blowing up the balloon, and the thoughts go out of the cells. So you're really cleansing your cells in this process.
Can I really heal myself without going to the doctor? Because that's what we're doing, going to the pharmacia, taking the pills and suppressing actually what we're doing. But are we capable, is mankind capable of healing oneself?
Absolutely, but they shouldn't wait till it develops into some serious disease.
That's what we do.
So if we get a symptom in our body, we need to start cleansing it right away. If you don't, it can develop farther along, and then you go to the doctor and you get a label, and that makes it more stuck and more hard to heal yourself. You still can heal yourself if you get a label from the doctor or a diagnosis, but it's much harder. It's much easier if you start clearing yourself the minute you get any symptom.
So how young, at what age should you start? Is it age bounded?
Well, should you start the breathing, you mean? Oh, I had some students, they had a daughter, she was 5. And her parents were both breath workers, of course, so she learned to rebirth herself, even in water, with a snorkel, breathing under the water when she was 5. So she could heal herself. The minute she got upset, she'd get her snorkel and go in the water.
It's very playful, especially for children as well. And the good thing without breathing underwater is that you have to breathe. I mean, can you imagine is underwater and you will not breathe? I mean, you have to breathe.
So wet rebirthing, we use a snorkel and a nose plug.
Yes. Now aging, you're a beautiful woman. How did it come that you have actually not aged? I know you now for 20 years, no more, 20 something years. What is the cause of aging?
Well, okay, aging is when you suppress all your ego negative thoughts and all your anger and all your fear and all your guilt, and you keep suppressing it in your body instead of clearing it. The body can no longer clear itself, so that's one of the causes of aging, and that's one of the causes of death. Death occurs when the body can no longer clear itself. And so obviously, if you want to live a long time and you want to stay youthful, you have to keep clearing your body. That's common sense. And most people don't. They just keep suppressing and suppressing.
Yes, and we run to all those clinics, and we run through all those Botox, and we run for all those creams to find from the outside. But the cells also need this oxygen, what you were saying. It makes a lot of sense from healing from the inside, and also this agent. Now we come to the last questions of our interview. Why do people have to die?
Well, I'm telling you, the reason that people die is because they die because of their thoughts, And they kill themselves with their own thoughts. And therefore, in a way, all death is suicide. And the book Course in Miracles says death is a result of a thought called the ego. Now, the ego is a false self, as I said, that we made up. All of our negative thoughts that keep us from remembering we're one with God. So we're always indulging in our ego, and the ego leads to death. That's why people die. Now, the good thing is, if you get enlightened, this can be changed. This can be changed.
What is enlightened? A lot of people have trouble with this word enlightenment.
Well, the best definition I know is from the Course in Miracles. It says a person is enlightened when they replace the ego's thought system with the Holy Spirit's thought system. And there are masters that have done that. Jesus did that, and there's others that have done that. Of course, so you have to become a spiritual master to be an immortal.
And spiritual masters have actually, what I get very well, only positive thoughts.
Right. They're not indulging in any anger, any fear, any guilt, anything like that.
Actually, it is very basic. Either you're in the fear system or you are in the holy, loving, positive system.
That's right.
Thought. All this in one of your books. It's not your latest book, but it's a recent book, Liberation, Breathing, the Divine Mother's Kiss. You talk all about this ego thought system, immortality, how to be liberated from that. People can ask this online or just go simply to one of our seminars that we organize, right, around the world.
Right.
You also, I went with you to Bali. I had the pleasure to be with you in India, and but you're going around the world. Can you speak a little bit about the quests that you are organizing around the world?
Yes, we travel to many countries all year, but we do spiritual quests in Bali, in Hawaii, in Iceland, and this year we're doing one in Glastonbury. So that's where people can spend like 10 days with us. So it's much more powerful and much more deep.
Profound.
And
Yes.
of course, Bali is a place where they have 10,000 temples, so it's really something.
Really something. Thank you very much for all this wonderful time and thoughts that help us and pushing forwards, because life is all about moving forwards and grow, and also in business. You are an author of 20 books. So we're all looking forward of these new books. It's called
Spiritual Intimacy. I wrote that one with my husband, so I'm really excited.
One day we'll hope to have the interview together with you.
Okay.
I thank you for today. It's been a very interesting questions and time and answers with you. And
My pleasure.
thank you.